getting quiet. When it gets that way in the sanctuary, like, oh, we better start. It's getting very quiet. Of course, muting everybody makes that happen.
It's kind of nice though. You gotta get like a moment to take in Shabbat.
Moment of Shabbat silence. That's true, Cantor. Yes. To hear the still small voice within as we get ready to hear the beautiful music from Cantor Alyssa, and as we're all going to join in the beautiful music together.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So we'll get started. We're going to start with a tune that many of you all know, Hine Matov. How good it is for us all to be dwelling here together in this space. So please join me. Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Umanayim 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 Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Yadadai dadadadadadai Hine Matov Yadadai dadadadadadai Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Yadadai dadadadadadai Hine Matov Yadadai dadadadadadai Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad Hine Matov Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
Very nice.
So our next song you'll find in your prayer book on page 5, and it's Tzadi Katamar, which is the righteous shall flourish like the palm tree, the palm date tree. It's a really beautiful melody, and it comes from Psalm 92. It's a wonderful way to bring in some of that Shabbat energy. So we'll put the words on the screen for you all so you can join along. Tzadi Katamar Yifrach Ke'erez Balvanon Yizkeh Shetulim Beveit Adonai Bechadrot Eloheinu Yafrichu Od Yenuvun Beseiva Teshenim Verananim Yiyu Lehagid Ki Yashar Adonai Turi Velo Avlatabo.
Thank you, Cantor. Thank you so much. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Shabbat Shalom, dear friends. So great to be together tonight. So Tzaddik Katamar, so the righteous shall flourish like a date palm. So here in California, we are blessed with many, many palm trees. Who can answer for us in the chat box? Are those date palms or are those coconut palms? Does anybody know? If we were to climb up a palm tree, neither. Okay, George, if it's neither, which type of palm tree is it? Oh my goodness, Joe Beam is saying neither either. So neither as well, I should say. A royal. Okay, so what is the fruit of the palm trees that surround us in California? Is there a fruit? We eagerly await.
The fruit is nuisance. That's our answer in the chat.
The nuisance fruit. Believe it or not, it's actually quite tasty.
Or that there's no fruit, yeah.
There's no fruit. Oh my goodness. We have to go all the way to Eretz Yisrael to have an enjoyable, sweet date palm fruit. That's interesting that there's no fruit. I don't know if y'all knew that. Cantor,
well, there might be some, but they just may not be prevalent enough to be the regular palm trees.
Well, that makes sense. That would explain when I look at the palm trees in my neighborhood, I don't see any fruit. That would make sense. Aha. All right, I don't know what that means. Indio for date palm shakes. I have no idea what that means, but you'll explain it. There are date palms in California, says Carolyn. All right, Carolyn. Where can we find them? What city in California?
Indio, Burbank, Palm Springs.
And Burbank, hey, maybe there are palm trees. I should try to scale one of those palm trees, and see if there's a date up there. Okay, all right, and of course we can.
Home Depot doesn't count.
Well, one of the things about Shabbat and being together for Shabbat is we get to take a moment to catch our breath, to breathe deeply, and to appreciate all the beauty that surrounds us, all the wonders that surround us. That's what Shabbat is all about, thanking God for the creation of this beautiful world that we all are living in. And we can see palm trees, and we can see pine trees and other trees, and the leaves off the trees falling during this time of autumn. And so this is the time to be thankful for all of these miracles that surround us, whether it be a palm tree, or whether it be a child's smile, or a dog's bark I heard earlier, or being with family, being with friends, as we all are tonight. So speaking of family and friends, oh my goodness, well, before we get there, can anybody recognize, for those of you who've been to Israel, I am curious, type in the chat box, what is behind me? This is a famous scene, a famous landscape in Jerusalem. It's so famous I had to look it up. But once I looked it up and it was confirmed, I'm like, oh, of course, that makes sense. I'll give you a hint. To my right ear, there is a tower, otherwise known as a migdal in Hebrew. Does anybody know what that courtyard is? Anybody been to that courtyard in Israel? Okay. Since there's no response in the chat box, I'm going to assume maybe you haven't, or maybe you have been there. This is the Tower of David, the Citadel. Yes, David's Tower. Thank you, Jamie and Abby. David's Tower, Migdal David. That is a courtyard at the Citadel near David's Tower, at the museum there at David's Tower. And that is right off the museum. That is the beautiful courtyard. And we're going to go from the courtyard at David's Tower in Jerusalem. Jason, if you will take us from there in Eretz Yisrael to none other than, yes, the rolling hills of Sfat, up above the Galilee, the Kinneret, where you all know in the 16th century, the Jews of Sfat would go out on the hillside as the sun was setting, and they would sing this song composed in the 16th century, Lecha Dodi. Beloved, come to meet the bride, come to greet the presence of Shabbat. So let's all join in Lecha Dodi.
And we'll put the words up on the screen for you as well. Lecha Dodi. This is a melody I'm sure many of you know. Lecha Dodi Likra Kanai Yalalai 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 B'nai Shabbat Nekabela. Lecha Dodi Likra Kanai Yalalai 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 B'nai Shabbat Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad Hishmianu elcham yuchad Adonai echad u'shmo echad L'shemo tiferet v'litila L'echad dodi likrat kanai yalalai 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 B'nai Shabbat nekabela I'll invite you to rise if you're so able or inclined and turn towards your doorway to greet the Sabbath bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha u'tzola tochem unei yam segula boi chala lecha dodi likrat kanai yalalai 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 b'nai Shabbat nekabela lecha dodi likrat kanai yalalai 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 b'nai Shabbat nekabela.
Oh, that was a great version. Thank you, Cantor. Was that the Kol the Kol HaNeshama version? For those of you who've been to the synagogue in Jerusalem, Kol HaNeshama, that is their signature song. And there's nothing like watching everybody in that congregation sing that in Jerusalem on Sabbath evening. It is quite special. Well, speaking of quite special, now is the time we want to say hello to some very special people. None other than our bar mitzvah this Shabbat, Mr. Mason Hill and his family. There he is.
Hi.
Shabbat Shalom, Mason. Oh, yeah, Mason, you go ahead, unmute yourself. Hi. And there's your brother Elliot. Hi, Elliot. Oh, and there's Dad. Hey, Nick. Shabbat Shalom. And Mom is close by. Danya. Where's Danya?
Mom is getting ready for tomorrow.
Mom's getting ready for the bar mitzvah ceremony tomorrow, of course. Of course. Well, it's great to see you all. Thank you for being with us tonight on this very busy weekend for you. Let's see, Mason and Elliot, are you guys going to bring in the light and the warmth of Shabbat with that reading on page 9? Oh, good. There are your candles. You're bringing them into your frame. Very nice.
All right.
It's that one here. Straighten that one up.
Oh, yeah, this one won't stand up. There we go.
Yeah.
You can go.
Oh, do you have to say something?
No, yeah, there is the thing that we, Elliot, come over here to say it with me.
Right. The
yes.
Hill Boys are going to bring
Okay,
it.
Elliot, let's start right now.
Right.
3, 2, 1.
In the beginning there was darkness, and the Spirit of God hovered over the darkness. Then God created light, and the work of creation was begun.
As we kindle the Sabbath lights, we remember the majesty of creation and rejoice in our ability to witness it again.
Amen. Thank you. And guys, you ready to light? Mason, is the bar mitzvah. You going to light these candles? Oh, that looks like Dad's hand. Look at that.
Yep, it is. Oh, is that one gonna? Okay.
All right.
And Cantor's going to lead
All
us
right.
in
The
blessing.
smoke alarms. There's one right there.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu le'adlik ner ligner shel Shabbat.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Thank you,
Shabbat
Mason.
shalom.
Thank you, Elliot and family. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Danya. Mason, you excited about tomorrow?
Yeah.
All
I'm
right,
very
we are
excited.
too. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mason's going to do some special leading for us tonight as the
Yes.
bar mitzvah. So we're going to see him in just a little bit. Thank you, Mason. Thank you, Elliot, Nick, Danya. Thank you so much. Well, looking at that beautiful family, we now come to our family blessing. We're at the bottom of page 9. We invite you to gather with your families if they are close by. If they are not close by, we're thinking of our families near and far as we share in this blessing together.
May God bless you and keep you. May He shine His face upon you and grace you. May He lift His presence unto you and grant you peace. May God bless you and keep you. May she shine her face upon you and grace you. May she lift her presence unto you and grant you peace. And grant you peace.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good Shabbos. I don't know if you all upgraded your Zoom. They came out with a new version, 5.0. I think that's the new version, something like 5 something or 5.2. Let's try this, Jason. Speaking of the beautiful Berman Hill family, Bubby and Zeta are with us tonight. Jerry and Glenda Berman. Is there a way? There they are. Jason, can you spotlight Bubby and Zeta and Mason and Elliot? Can we do both? Oh, look at that. Do y'all see that? We've got two different homes spotlighted. Hopefully y'all can see that. This is my first time seeing it. This is a Shehakianu moment. Look at that. You get to see the smiles and the nachas and Elliot saying, okay. Elliot, what does your shirt say? Largest supplier of what?
Of natural energy.
Oh,
Nice.
are you
I like
the
it.
largest supplier of natural energy? You do have a lot of energy.
I do have a lot.
Their name is Barack.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's so great to see 3 generations of your family tonight as we celebrate Shabbat. That's a family blessing right there. So great to see you, Glenda and Jerry. Mazel tov to you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.
We look forward to celebrating with you tomorrow. Well, let us. Oh, I'm going to do this. Let me see if this works, guys. So you can see the sun is setting over Jerusalem there.
Mm-hmm.
But as time goes on, oh, look at this. It gets even darker. So there is Jerusalem lit up at night. And what I love about Jewish prayers is they really relate to what's going on in our lives, right? We have a prayer for healing for people we know who and care about who are in need of healing. We have prayers for a bar mitzvah. We have prayers for our celebration of Shabbat. We have prayers of gratitude when we wake up in the morning and we're thankful for another 24 hours to enjoy the day and all the good things that can come to us during the day. We have a prayer in the morning thanking God for morning light and for the light and warmth of the sun. And we also have prayers for when the sun sets and thanking God for the darkness as well as the light, because if it was light all day, we'd be in Alaska and we wouldn't be able to sleep because our bodies would all be out of whack. So we're thankful for the sunset, we're thankful for the evening, and we have a prayer thanking God for the miracle of creation, for the change of day into night, rolling day into night, rolling of the seasons, rolling of our very lives, the changes of our very lives. And Cantor, you got a wonderful song about one of those themes.
Yes, I do. So this song is called Roll Into Dark. And we'll put the words on the screen for you too. It starts with the English, and you can, if you catch on to that part and you want to keep singing that part while I go into the Hebrew, you're more than welcome to do that because it fits underneath it. So we'll go through that a couple times until I go into the Hebrew. So when you catch on, do please join me. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel loy mipnei choshech, golel loy mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, golel loy mipnei choshech, golel loy mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei yom. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
How beautiful. Thank you, Cantor. Thank you. Well, as we roll into dark and roll into Shabbat together, we open up. We open up this Shabbat, each and every Shabbat, we open up to the divine in life, to the one who unites all things, who links life to life in sacred connection, expressed in the Shema, the affirmation of our faith, on page 14.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
Well, in the Torah, the Shema rolls right into the V'ahavta in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6. And we need somebody who has the skills to chant Torah. And we have such a person tonight in our bar mitzvah. There he is. Mason's back.
All right.
You ready, Mason, to lead us in the V'ahavta? Page 15, everybody.
Yes.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך
וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו הטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
All right, well done, guys. Let's hear it for Mason and Elliot. You guys work so well together. Yasher Koach, well done. May your strength continue, guys. That was wonderful. That was so great. Well, I don't know if y'all have been watching the news, but the election results are coming in. They keep coming in. States continue to be called. And I thought it might be helpful for all of us during this time to look to Judaism and look to the wise teachings of our tradition to sort of help us post-election and help us heal this divide that we may be experiencing. I think that we are experiencing in this country. There's quite an amazing divide in this country. There's quite a polarization of beliefs, ideologies, perspectives, and I think Judaism has something very profound, many profound things to teach us about how our country can heal this divide that we are experiencing right now. So Jason, if you could please share with everybody our handout for tonight. There it is. Hopefully you can see that nice and big, and depending on what your screen is, you should have on your screen two little parallel lines, white lines to the right of this handout. And if you scroll over to the right, if you click on those and scroll to the right, it will get bigger and you can see it better. So calling this, again, Healing the Divide, Jewish Teachings for Post-Election America. So there is our wonderful country right there in the middle, these United States of America. So I've got listed here in the middle the results of the election as of yesterday. I realize these numbers may have changed, but these are the numbers we have that I saw yesterday. And as you can see, on one level, President-elect Biden is ahead by at least 5 million votes, which is a significant number. But when you zoom out a little bit and look at it too, you can see that 72 million people in this country voted for President Trump, 77 for President-elect Biden. And the difference is between 48%, I'm rounding up, 47.5, I'm rounding up 48 to 51. So that is quite a, not necessarily a polarization unless people make it a polarization, but I believe a number of people have made our country quite polarized in the past number of years. And I found something very insightful in the magazine The Atlantic, and it's talking about the geography, and that's why I put the country up there. And let's look in the middle here. I want to share with you this very insightful demographic. And they're calling it the polarization of place. So The Atlantic reports the polarization of place is a long-running trend. In the past 100 years, Democrats have gone from being the party of the farmland to a profoundly urban coalition. In 1916, Woodrow Wilson's support in rural America was higher than his support in urban counties. Exactly 1 century later, 2016, Hillary Clinton won 9 in 10 of the nation's largest counties, taking New York City, Boston, Denver, Atlanta, Philadelphia, Chicago by more than 50 points. That is quite a polarization. by more than 50 points in those big cities. Now it looks like Biden won the election by running up the score in cities and pushing the inner suburbs left, even as Trump strengthened his grip on rural areas. And it goes on, density and diplomas, because it also talks about, the difference in, who voted, who has college degree as opposed to who doesn't. Density and diplomas form the most important divide in American politics, at least for now. Density, geography, location, and diplomas. So now this made me think when I was thinking about this, and I'm sure you all heard that too during the election, they were talking about the rural areas and their vote as opposed to the big cities, and we had the impression that once the big city votes came in, that would most likely lean Democratic, which it did. But it made me think this week about a really amazing teaching in the Talmud. So now, Jason, let's go to the left a little bit. If we can go back to our handout, let's see what the Talmud has to say about this sort of rural versus city, urban versus farmland. The sages are Jewish sages in Yavna. That was a town that was west of Jerusalem, about 40 miles west of Jerusalem. Our rabbinic sages, and this is where a lot of the Talmud was created and the Mishnah was created in the city of Yavna, they were wont to say, actually, you know what? Let's hear somebody else's voice. Jason, can we open it up? Who would like to, if we could unspotlight me, if we could unspotlight that for 1 second, Jason, let's see if we can get a volunteer. Who would like to read what the sages in Yavna were wont to say? Donna Barr.
Do it.
Hi, Donna.
And
Can
I
you see
gotta,
that?
I gotta unmute myself. Here we go. I who learn Torah am God's creature, and my counterpart who engages in other labor is God's creature. My work is in the city, and her work is in the field. I rise early for my work, and she rises early for her work. And just as she does not presume to perform my work, so do I not presume to perform her work. Lest you say, I engage in Torah study a lot while she only engages in Torah study a little. So I am better than she. It has already been taught. One who brings a substantial sacrifice and one who brings a meager sacrifice have equal merit, as long as they direct their hearts towards heaven.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you so much. So, Jason, let's take that off the screen for a second. And I just want to highlight some of that because, again, I think this is so relevant, what our Jewish sages said, 1900 years ago. My work is in the city, and their work is in the field. They rise early, I rise early. Just as they do their work, I do my work. I can't say that I am better than that other person, where they live, what they do. Cannot say that we are better than that person. We all have equal merit. We all have equal merit. Boy, I would love the people in our country to have this perspective, to think along these lines. And by the way, Jason put it in the chat box, this handout in the chat box, if you'd like to have it on your screen as well. Right? Whether we live in the city or whether we live in the country, whether we have diplomas or whether we don't have diplomas, no matter our work, no matter what it is we do, our tradition says that everybody has equal merit. Again, going back to that concept we learned right at the beginning of the Torah, right there in the opening chapter, the first chapter of Genesis in the Torah, Bereshit, where it says that male and female human beings were created b'tselem Elohim, in God's image, meaning that we are all equal, meaning that we all have equal merit, that we all have equal value, that no one is superior to another person. There's another statement in the Talmud that says, why does the Torah say we all descended from one couple? To teach us that we shouldn't say my ancestry, my pedigree is better than yours, because we're all descended from the same two people. Whether or not that is literally true, the ethical truth, the moral truth, the value of that statement is that every human being in this country and every human being on this earth, we all have equal value. And that's what Judaism teaches us. And I think that's what would be so helpful for us to remember these words of the sages of Yavna when it starts feeling polarized and when people start feeling superior, inferior, having this sense of grievance or having this sense of superiority or dismissing half the population of America depending on their personal viewpoints or their political viewpoints. To be able to remember these words of our sages. So anyway, that's one idea. I think that's one way to heal the divide, to heal that polarization. By the way, here's a staggering statistic. It is not on your handout. I love demographics. That's why I get to, this is my John King of CNN moment. So they come out with World Jewish Population Studies every year at the, how do you like this? The Berman Jewish Data Bank of the Jewish Federations. There we go. So for the Berman family, the Berman Jewish Data Bank, they do a World Jewish Population Study every year that you can find if you Google BermanJewishDataBank.com or org or whatever. And they have a U.S. Jewish population survey every year. So the 2019, because 2020 hasn't come out yet, of course, it says 39% of all Americans live in the 21 largest metropolitan areas. Think of that statistic. 39% of all Americans live in the 21st largest metropolitan cities in this country. But listen to the Jewish population in the 21st largest metropolitan areas. It's not 39, it's 79. 8 out of 10 Jews in this country live in the 21st largest metropolitan areas. I find that to be a staggering statistic. And again, it might help explain why, well, anyway, I leave it at that. I leave it to you to figure out what's the significance of 8 out of 10 Jews in this country live in large metropolitan areas. So now let's go on to number 2. Number 2, oh, this is a great one. Who would like to read number 2? Do we have a volunteer? Again, we're in the Talmud. Rabbi Abba said in the name of Shmuel. Who would like to read that one? Let's see, Jason, I can't see. Ah, Seth, thank you, sir.
Rabbi Abba said in the name of Shmuel. For 3 years, the Academy of Shammai and the Academy of Hillel argued. One group asserted the law follows our views, and the other asserted the law follows our views. A heavenly voice came down and announced, they are both the words of the living God, but the law follows the Academy of Hillel. Since both were the words of the living God, what entitled the Academy of Hillel to have the law agree with them? Because they were kind and modest, they studied their own rulings and those of the Academy of Shammai. And not only that, they mentioned the rulings of the Academy of Shammai before their own.
Thank you, Seth. Again, words of wisdom, how to handle disagreement, how to handle dispute, how to handle conflict. We can look to the Talmud, we could look to the teachings of the Academy of Shammai and Hillel. And by the way, these were two academies that were in the 1st and 2nd centuries in the land of Israel, which is behind me. Thus my Israel theme tonight. So let me go back. Let me do it that way so you can see what Israel looks like during the daytime. So Hillel and Shammai, they disagreed. They both had good points. They both were operating from their values. And they were able to argue with each other, these different schools of Hillel and Shammai. They were both able to resolve their disagreements with respect, with kindness, with modesty and humility, by studying the position of the other. There's a novel concept in our country. Can we study the viewpoint, the political position of the other, in the other party, to try to understand, to try to find the merit in their position, to try to find places of agreement? What would our discourse be like in this country if we could follow the example of the schools of Hillel and Shammai? So there's a statement in Pirkei Avot, the great Mishnah volume of Mishnah, Pirkei Avot. It uses the expression machlochet l'shem shamayim, disputes for the sake of heaven. Those were the disputes among the folks in Hillel's academy and Shammai's academy. They were machlochet l'shem shamayim, disputes for the sake of heaven. Can we create disputes that are for the sake of heaven? I think those disputes would look something like this. We would debate the issues, and we wouldn't attack people who hold those positions. We wouldn't damage relationships because of their positions. We would maintain good relationships. That would be our priority, like it was the priority for Hillel and Shammai. They came together, they ate together, the different groups, their families they married each other. They didn't demonize the other. They respected the other. They broke bread with each other. I bet we all know people who friendships have dissolved because of this election, because of the positions of the different parties in this election. I know people whose friendships have broken apart because of it. You might know them. They may be in your own family. Hillel and Shammai teach us that when we debate without attacking other people and damage relationships, but maintain relationships, that's what it means to engage in argument, to engage not in angry quarrel argument, but in a difference of viewpoints, and trying to be reasonable, trying to offer your reasons, your facts, your statements about what you believe to be true, or the things we should be doing, the policies we should be having. Here's another teaching that comes from the commentaries of what does it mean to have a machlochet l'shem shamayim, a dispute for the sake of heaven. Make sure our motivation is the right motivation. Are we trying to win the argument? Or are we trying to solve problems? Are we trying to arrive at truth? I know we all would love to see that in our country. The arguments aren't about winning, but they're about trying to get at the truth, to create a more perfect union, to serve the common good, the greater good. That's a machlochet l'shem shamayim, a dispute for the sake of heaven. To listen to the other side and be open to admitting we may be wrong, our position may be wrong. That is the way Hillel and Shammai teach us how to argue and dispute. Listen to the other side, be open to we may be wrong, asking ourselves about a position. Am I sure? Am I certain? Perhaps I have something else to learn. Maybe your position is exactly right. But to keep that openness, to keep that sense of maybe there's something valuable on the other side, as it also says in Pirkei Avot, who is wise? The person who learns from everybody. The person who learns from everybody. That is wisdom. And then back to these and these are the words of the living God. Elu ve'elu. These and these are the words of the living God. People may both be right in a dispute, even though they hold opposing positions. There may be some truth in both positions. And that is what Hillel and Shammai teach us. It says in, I think, the Zohar, the Jewish mystical tradition, that in the world to come, the Jewish people will follow the ruling of the house of Shammai. Right now, we follow the ruling of Hillel. Hillel and Shammai had a big dispute about how to celebrate Hanukkah. Do you celebrate for 8 candles the first night and then reduce the number of candles? That was Shammai's position. You celebrate Hanukkah next month by lighting 8 candles the first night, 7 the second, 6 the third, because you're going from how many days are left in the holiday. Makes sense? The house of Hillel said, no, we're going to add light. We're going to add miracle. We start with 1. We keep growing it. And that's the way the Jewish people have determined to go by. We go by Hillel's ruling. But in the Zohar, it says, in the world to come, we're going to go by Shammai's ruling. Elu ve'elu, these and these are the words of the living God. Can we approach our disputes that way? And last but not least, I'm going to do this in 2 more minutes. Jason, let's put this up. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs of blessed memory. My goodness, he passed away this Saturday. He passed away this Shabbat when the election in America, the results were coming in. That's when the great Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, the former chief rabbi of the United Kingdom, he passed away battling cancer for many years, but a very prolific author. He left us tremendous teachings. This is one of them, the dignity of difference. The dignity of difference. Who would like to read this one? And with this, we'll conclude. Any takers? I'm sorry, Jason, I can't see because for some reason, my screen goes to full view. Ah, Leonard Cash. Hi, Leonard. Need to unmute yourself. Let's see. We're going to ask you to unmute.
The proposition at the heart of monotheism is what has traditionally been taken to be.
Wait, Leonard, it's not what is traditionally taken to be.
It's not what it has traditionally been taken to be. One God, therefore, one faith, one truth, one way. To the contrary, it is that unity creates diversity. The glory of the created world is its astonishing multiplicity. The thousands of different languages spoken by mankind, the hundreds of faiths, the proliferation of cultures, the sheer variety of the imaginative expressions of the human spirit, in most of which, if we listen carefully, we will hear the voice of God telling us something we need to know. That is what I mean by the dignity of difference.
Thank you, Leonard. One of my favorite teachings by Rabbi Sachs, and he's got a lot of great ones. His idea about the dignity of difference, and as he used to say, God loves variety. God loves variety. It's everywhere in this world. And from that, we learn that there is something of value in all of this variety. There is something to learn in all of this multiplicity. And the God who is one who creates this multiplicity wants us to embrace this multiplicity, this pluralism, and to value it all. And as he says in the last sentence here, most of which, if we look at all this variety, if we look at all this diversity, most of this, if we listen carefully, we will hear the voice of God telling us something we need to know. Can we hear the voice of God in difference of opinion, different cultures, different religions, different viewpoints, different values? Can we hear the voice of God in those who are different from us? I think when we can, that's when we heal the divide. One of the ways that we heal the divide. So anyway, I hope these teachings you find valuable. You benefit from these. Jason put them in the chat box. I invite you to please print it out. Look them over on the days when you're really, you're upset by something you hear or something that you read or something you see on TV. Please take these out, and I will too. And I will be reminded of how to heal this divide that's in our country. So thank you all for your patience. I know we went a little bit long. I'm going to try to be better at that, but this is such good stuff, and I hope you find it valuable. as I do. There's so much wisdom in our tradition.
So we're gonna move on in the service to, this is traditionally the place where we have our Hashkivenu nighttime prayer. What we're about to do is an original I wrote based on an excerpt from that prayer with the line Ufros Aleinu, shelter us with your peace. And it's definitely something that can relate to a lot of different things. It's really an expansion on that prayer. So we'll put the lyrics up for you, and please join. We need your strength tonight, as we do every night. Shelter us. Please grant us peace of mind, all worries far behind. Shelter us. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Please guard this night of rest. Let it be one that's blessed. Shelter us. Let us lie down in peace. Let pain and violence cease. Shelter us. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Shelter us with your peace. Amidst uncertainty, we need security. Please shelter us.
Well, on this Shabbat evening, in the quiet of the night, we now take a few moments for our very own personal and silent prayer.
Hopefully you've all had a moment to have your silent meditations for Shabbat. We're going to continue with Shalom Rav, a prayer for abundant peace that God brings. You can find that in your Siddur, and we'll also put it up on the screen for you. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki ata Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Thank you, Cantor. And thank you also to everybody for your nice comments in the chat box as well. And I realize I buried the lead. I buried the lead. If you look at the handout, which Jason shared with you, some folks were asking for it, the thing that really made me want to call and find these resources and these Jewish thoughts about it was, according to The Economist, today 40% of our electorate believes the other side is not just misguided, but the other side is evil. That's a frightening thought. And that is why we need to do a tikkun. We need to be part of a tikkun, a healing of this divide. And again, that's why I feel that the teachings of our tradition can help us get there. And speaking of healing, we now turn to page 22. Page 22. We want to heal our country. We want to heal our spirit. We know people that we know and love who are in need of a healing of their body and the healing of their spirit. So we now come together for this Misha Berach prayer of healing for people we know and care about. Please join us, middle of page 22.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Kor habracha le'imaotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
And at this time, we invite you to put the names of people you know who are in need of healing. If you put their names in the chat box, our prayer of healing is for all of them. And our prayer of healing is also for all the people listed on our Misha Berach page. Our prayer of healing is for all these temple members. I'm thinking of all of them, and I'm thinking of Jean Burton tonight. Wishing them all healing. I'm thinking of all these family members. Our family members in need of healing. and all of our friends and coworkers who are in need of healing, as we now continue this prayer of healing together.
Mi shebeirach Imoteinu Mekor habracha La'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We pray that they are all healed. Well, our thoughts now turn to those who have departed this earth, our own family members who have passed away, our friends who have passed, members of our community, members of every race and nation who are a blessing to humanity. We think of them now, we honor them through our memory and through our prayer. As I mention the name of a loved one, I invite you to please stand, and then in just a moment, we'll all stand together to recite the Kaddish prayer. This Shabbat, we remember Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. We remember Earl Sanders, 94 years young, member of our congregation for over 70 years. He and his wife Ida, back in 1949, were the first couple to walk down the aisle in our social hall, which was then our sanctuary, and get married in 1949. We remember Earl Sanders. We remember Larry Moskowitz, and we remember Rebecca Kaufman, and Howard Schwartz, David Bernstein, Stephen Strauss, Donald Allen Pocock, Susan Goldsmith, Cecilia Carpenter, Alan Loybin. We remember Patricia Jacobson, Florence Schwartz, Claire Cohen, Peggy Nichols, Lance Gershon, and Simone Roman. And for those who are observing yahrzeit, the anniversary of the death of a loved one that is commemorated this week, we remember Anna Nan. We remember Elizabeth Burke, Mary Cohen. We remember Edith Jamin and Eugene Jamin, Deborah Miller, Charles M. Landis, Harold Moskowitz, Helen Moskowitz, Paul Shalem Sherman, Samuel Stoller, Felicitas S. Felix, Samuel Brick, and Anna Weinberg. And we invite you to also offer a name in the chat box for a loved one who has passed that you're thinking of tonight. Our Kaddish prayer is for them as well. As we now turn to page 24 in our prayer book, page 24, and as we stand together to recite the Kaddish prayer, thanking God that they were all with us, that they were all on this earth. Together we pray, Yitkadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah, V'alma divarach hirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye chon u'vyom echon, u'v'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv, v'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, Shmei d'Kudasha berichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, and may we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen.
Amen.
And please be seated, everybody.
So we take this opportunity towards the end of our service here to offer our prayer of peace, Oseh Shalom. If you'll please join me, and we'll put the words on the screen for you. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru, Amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh Shalom Bimroma, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru,
Well, we are so honored now to call upon Vice President here at Temple Sinai. He also happens to be our Brotherhood co-president, Mr. Philip Hain. Hi, Philip.
Hi, Rabbi. Thank you very much. Thank you for wonderful words and great teaching that will hopefully help us all to heal and see the perspective of others. And thank you also, Cantor, for beautiful and inspiring music. We'd also like to thank tonight's service participants. First, the Hill family for candle lighting, and then Mason Hill, ably assisted with support from his brother Elliot for leading the Ve'ahavta prayer. And tonight's virtual Oneg is sponsored by Glenda and Jerry Berman in honor of their grandson Mason's bar mitzvah. So coming up at Temple Sinai, tomorrow morning at 9 special time, the minyan will be meeting at 9 a.m. earlier than usual in order to accommodate 11 a.m. Mason Hill's bar mitzvah service tomorrow at 11. Then skipping to Monday at 7, the social action emotional resiliency session will be taking place. And then on Tuesday at 6 p.m. is the memorial service for our beloved friend, Larry Moskowitz. So that's Tuesday at 6. Then the following night, Wednesday at 6, our Jewish film group is discussing Tel Aviv on Fire. Hopefully that's not literal and just the name of the film. And then please be sure to RSVP by Sunday for Friendsgiving, which will take the place of our regular Shabbat service next Friday night. And you'll find details on everything and Zoom links for all of this in Sunday's Temple Sinai e-blast. Shabbat Shalom to everybody.
Thank you, Philip. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it. So many things going on here at Temple Sinai. Please join us for these events. Oh, and we're going to call Mason back. He's doing so wonderfully. We're going to call our bar mitzvah back.
By the way, I think something that was missed in the announcements is the Kid Shabbat next week.
Oh, Thank you. Cantor, do you want to say more about that?
So Kids Shabbat will be at 5 p.m. as usual. So we'll have it nice and early, and it should be over in time for people to filter into the Friendsgiving Shabbat if they plan to join for both.
Yes, thank you, Cantor. Thank you for remembering that. And that is, that's for families and for children up to age 8, up to about 3rd grade. So if that sounds like you, or sounds like your children, or sounds like your grandchildren, please join us for that next Friday at 5 o'clock. And Mason, I believe, is at the ready with his Kiddush cup. Now, Mason, you're not going to do just that short Kiddush, that just one line B'rei Pri Hagafen. Have you learned the whole full Kiddush?
Yes, I learned it a while ago. At Weitzman, we always did the full We always did the full one, so that's what I'm doing today.
How awesome. At Weitzman Day School that you went to, and Elliot went to for many, many years. Great. We would love to have you. And we see you've got your Kiddush cup. Is there a story behind? Oh, that's your. I was going to say the story is. What do you see there, Mason?
I see Jerusalem. That's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, isn't that cool? You got Jerusalem on your Kiddush cup. Well, we'd be so honored to have you lead us in the full Kiddush tonight as we get ready for our own egg.
Yes. All right. 3, 2, 1. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'yavaru ratzon hinenu zikaron l'maaseh bereshit ki hu yom tehila v'mikra kodesh zecher letziat mitzrayim Kivanu vaharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim. That was awesome, guys. Thank you, Mason and Elliot. Let's hear it for Mason and Elliot. That was so great, guys. Thank you. Thank you for everything tonight. We can't wait till tomorrow.
All right.
So we're going to conclude the service now with Adon Olam. So we'll put the words up on the screen for you and encourage you to please sing along. This melody that we're using for Adon Olam tonight, many of you are familiar with. It's to the tune of the Scarborough Fair Canticle, as made famous by Simon and Garfunkel. So we'll put the words up for you. Please join. Adon Olam Hashem Alam Teren Kol Yetzir Nivra Lein Asa V'Chetzo Kol Azai Lelech Shemo Nikra Believe Adonai li velo ira. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
And let's open up the chat box so we can all wish each other a Shabbat Shalom before our Oneg Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Hello, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.